We're living in this amazing time, right? We have more comfort, more technology, more stuff than any other point in history. And yet there's this really strange paradox happening. For all of our progress, we don't seem to be getting any happier.
So what's going on? I mean, if we have so much, why does it feel like something's missing? Let's dig into this because there's a real disconnect between how we're living and how we're actually feeling.
Okay, check out this number, 21%. According to the University of Chicago's Big Social Survey, that's how many Americans now say they're not too happy. And get this, that number has almost doubled in just the last 10 years. That's not just a feeling, that's a huge measurable sign that something is really off.
And look, it's easy to blame recent events, but this isn't some new thing. This trend of rising unhappiness has been going on for decades. That tells us there's something much deeper at play here, something about what we're all chasing.
And that leads to this really big idea. What if the problem isn't that we can't find happiness? What if we're just aiming at the wrong target? What if what we think is happiness is actually something else entirely?
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to look inside the brain. It turns out that happiness isn't just one thing. Nope, it's actually two totally different experiences running on completely separate circuits in our heads.
A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lustig has done some amazing work on this. He's the one who really laid out the difference between pleasure and contentment. See, pleasure is that quick hit, that exciting buzz. Think of it like the little rush you get from a notification on your phone. But contentment, that's totally different. It's that deep, lasting sense of well-being. It's the feeling you get from a real, meaningful chat with a good friend. Two very different things.
So here's how the wiring works. That pleasure pathway, that's all about dopamine. It starts in a part of your midbrain called the ventral tegmental area, or VTA. Dopamine is like an accelerator. It's an on switch. It screams, "More! I want that!" But contentment, that's powered by serotonin, which comes from the spot called the dorsal raphe nucleus. Serotonin is the brake. It's an off switch. It doesn't shout, it just calmly whispers, "Ah, this is good. I have enough."
And this is where things get really crucial. That beautiful contentment pathway, the serotonin one, it's super vulnerable because when we get stressed out, our bodies flood with a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol directly attacks our serotonin system. It basically wreaks havoc on it, making it physically harder for us to feel content. So if stress is constantly attacking our ability to feel good, we desperately need some kind of mental shield, right?
Well, stress is pretty much unavoidable. So how do we protect ourselves? The answer is in that mental shield I just mentioned. It's a psychological mindset called hardiness, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a way of thinking that acts like a buffer, shielding our brains from all that damage that stress tries to do.
This whole idea has a pretty cool origin story. It actually started back in the 1970s with two researchers at the University of Chicago, Suzanne Klobasa and Salvatore Motti. They were studying a bunch of executives at the phone company, Illinois Bell, right when the company was going through this massive, stressful change. And they noticed something fascinating. Some of the execs completely fell apart under the pressure, but others actually thrived. So they just had to figure out why. What was the difference?
And since then, the research has just exploded. A guy named Dr. Paul Bartone has done a ton of work showing that this isn't just about corporate executives. He studied everyone from Chicago city bus drivers, talk about daily chaos, to soldiers in really high-stakes situations. And what he found is that these principles, they're universal. They apply to everyone.
So what is hardiness, really? At its heart, it's just a mindset. It's a way of looking at the world that completely reframes stress. Instead of seeing a difficult thing as a threat, a hardy person sees it as an interesting challenge, something they can take on, overcome, and actually learn from.
So this mindset, it's not just some vague idea. It actually breaks down into three key parts, which researchers call the 3 C's. Let's walk through each one because this is the core of how hardy people see the world.
Okay, the first C is commitment. This is basically the opposite of feeling disconnected or just bored with life. It's about diving in and being fully engaged with what's in front of you. Your job, your family, your hobbies. Hardy people really believe in what they're doing and find it interesting and meaningful.
Next up, the second C is control. This is that core belief that you can actually influence what happens in your life. It's the opposite of feeling powerless, like you're just a victim of whatever comes your way. Hardy people don't waste energy on things they can't change. They focus on the parts they can do something about.
And finally, the third C is challenge. This is all about your attitude toward change and tough times. Instead of seeing disruptions as scary threats, hardy people see them as normal, even necessary parts of life.
and as huge opportunities to learn and get stronger. They embrace it.
And listen, this isn't just some feel-good positive thinking fluff. This has real, measurable effects on our bodies and minds. Decades of research link this hardy mindset to all kinds of amazing outcomes. We're talking lower blood pressure, a more robust immune system, coping better with grief, and even experiencing growth after a trauma. It's powerful stuff.
All right, so this brings us to what I think is the most exciting and empowering part of this whole thing. Because hardiness, it's not some personality trait you either have or you don't. It's a skill. And just like any other skill, that means you can learn it.
And that right there is the key takeaway. You are not born hardy or not hardy. It is a way of looking at the world that anyone, and I mean anyone, can develop. It's about consciously choosing a set of attitudes and practicing them until they become second nature.
So how do you actually do it? Well, you start by consciously using those 3 C's as a lens to look at your life. When you're facing something tough, you just ask yourself, okay, how can I get more committed and engaged here? What part of this can I control, and how can I see this as a challenge I can grow from? It's a really powerful self-help approach that you can literally start using the second this is over.
And hey, if this is really clicking for you and you want to go deeper, I highly recommend checking out the book Hardiness. It's by Dr. Stephen Stein and Dr. Paul Bartone, the researcher we mentioned earlier, and it's an amazing guide to really putting these ideas into practice. So I want to leave you with a question to mull over. Think about one thing in your life right now that feels really stressful or overwhelming. Now, what would happen if you put on your hardiness glasses and looked at it again? What if that thing you see as a threat is actually a challenge? And what if that challenge is really an opportunity in disguise?